Hello, welcome, beautiful YouTube family. We are back today with another interview, and we have Debbie Jordan Mills with us. Welcome, Debbie.
Hello, hi.
Hi. Debbie was introduced to me by a dear friend, and I've been following you on Instagram and Facebook. And Debbie is a spiritual guide and healer, a writer. Gosh, what else would you describe yourself as doing, Debbie?
It's a bit of everything. Awakener, I suppose. It's sometimes it's really hard to describe what you're here to do, you know. But awakening is kind of, whether it's with crystals, energy healing, teaching, workshops. Waking up.
Yeah, and I was really drawn to having this conversation with you because a lot of your Instagram posts, I see you out on the land, places like Avebury, and just working with the land and talking about elemental energy and starlight energy. And so I'm really excited at the moment to look at this place where the elemental earth energy and the starlight really meets. And so I'm hoping we'll kind of like dive into those kind of conversations. So it'd be really great to have a little bit of history about, how you came to be aware of these other realms and other energies.
Well, my awakening happened in 2000 with Reiki attunement. What I realized was that I'd felt and known all my life. Mm-hmm. So even as a little girl, I was really aware of being out with my friends in the fields, and there'd be a certain tree that I had to go and touch, or there would be the water, the little stream would call, but I'd have to pick up the little stones and make a little bridge or play. So and even like with animals, I just had this deep sense of knowing when an animal was well or sick, or unhappy. So you can imagine I didn't have anyone in my life who could tell me that I was actually right. It was just weird. So I just had different times where I would tell the grown-ups, what I was getting, and it was kind of like, yes dear, or no, you're, stop making things up.
Yeah.
So it was really with my Reiki attunements that I woke up spiritually very quickly, and I started to be around people that were experiencing the same things, but also that I got told that I was tuning into energy, that I was reading the land, that the elementals were communing with me. Mm-hmm. I went from being pregnant, doing my Reiki 1 and 2 attunements when I was pregnant, and then literally immediately after giving birth being guided that I had to do a crystal healing practitioner's training, which kind of didn't make sense, because I had a baby and a toddler. But then everything started lining up, and it was my crystal healing training, which was 2 years, that really, really gave me my answers. Because on our first morning, I think there's about 18 of us in the room, and the tutor said, does anyone as a child collect stones, sticks and leaves or shells and put them on your windowsill or keep them in your bedroom? And every single one of us put our hands up. And she said to us, do you know what you were doing? We were like, no, we're just being kids. And she said, you were balancing your energy.
Wow.
So she was like, as a child, you would know when you were ungrounded or your body needed some kind of energy alignment. So you would collect sticks or leaves that would hold that life force of nature, and you would keep them near you. And I remember finding a piece of quartz on a beach when I was really small. And then even as a small child, having a complete fit if it couldn't go in the car with us when we were going out for the day. And, it was just like, her quirky little ways. But actually, oh my gosh, I was holding probably the crystal was holding the space for the family for our day out.
Wow.
So yeah, it was things like that. But it was, yeah, my crystal healing training and my Reiki training that really woke me up. But I think as well, it's happening to everyone in different ways. They're starting to need more and find answers. And I think life is just waking us up as well with shocks, isn't it? And so many people either have an illness or maybe a unexpected redundancy or something in their life that literally takes them off their trajectory and just stops them. And that's when we're quiet. That's when spirit, the elementals, our soul can get through and say, "There's a different way." So me, I was very lucky that in my childhood, my best friend lived on a farm and her dad had racehorses. So all the time I was there, walking through the fields, playing in the trees, making dens in ditches, and not realizing that I was getting healing as well and connecting. But then, yeah, it was later as an adult, I started to really understand, one, that I've never been wrong and stupid and not getting it. But that's how we can feel when we feel these energies so strongly but we've got no one really to say, actually, it's the elementals talking to you, or it's your soul, or you're reading the land. You know, you might go somewhere and have a really dramatic emotional reaction to a place, and it doesn't make sense. But actually, maybe there was a battle there, or there's been some kind of trauma in the land, you know, that you're reading. So, like with my work, that I suppose that's what I want to do, is just to really help people to connect with their connection and to wake up to their creator force that they are, so that those feelings of being lost and bewildered and stupid and and so natural, that they arise naturally because it doesn't make logical sense. And then you step into that next level of spiritual awakening, where all logic disintegrates, and you start connecting with the masters and the guardians of the different realms. And you have to really drop out of your head, really drop out of your logic, and be animated by your heart. So it's your heart becomes your sat nav. And that's one of the most crazy journeys, because often we're surrounded by family, friends, husband, you know, colleagues, that if everyone's in their logical, and then you're starting to see through the realms, it takes a lot of strength and courage to stand in your truth, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And there's a spiritual bravery as well, that we trust what naturally arises through us, versus the logical that we've been taught. But that's when the magic comes in, when you start to really be drawn. I've had so many experiences where I'll get up and it'll be like, "You're right, you've got to go here." Like, really? Why? And you don't know, you're driving somewhere and you don't know why you're going, but you have to go there. And I've done that thing where I've tried not to, and it's just repetitive. You've got to go. But then you'll drive into a car park and you'll bump into someone you haven't seen for 20 years. And you're that healing voice for them, or you're both a key for each other. So yeah, that's really
would you
where
mind?
we're all heading.
Yeah, I'd love to, I love that when you say you're a key for each other. Maybe you could just, for anybody who doesn't understand what that means, that idea that we hold codes for each other, do you think you could just expand on that a little bit, what that means for
yes you? What started happening with me was, I kind of thought I woke up spiritually. I kind of read the books and went to workshops and did my Reiki healing. And then it was like another complete level of awakening happened in 2010, where it's almost, I became aware spontaneously of soul groups and soul families, temples of light. So I just remember knowing that the temples of light, crystalline temples of light on Venus, are anchored through the Himalayas, and that they hold the blueprint of love, and that all the soul groups are here from all the stars, and that I just remembered them spontaneously. There was no logic. And I remember I got told I had to go to the Himalayas, and it's like, how do I do that? And then the money came in, and the trip came in, and the guide, it was a trek. The guide who took us, she was training with a Rinpoche. She was an amazing light worker, and she saw me at the airport, and I know she just knew that I was there for a reason, and she started changing the itinerary so that she could take me to certain places. And so all those worries about, well, how do I do that? Because it's like you just say yes, and then the universe just brings all the stepping stones in. But that, I suppose that's one of the biggest parts of my work, is when I got taught and remembered that I'm born from a key code sequence from many lives, and I'm an aspect of a greater soul group, and that where I live, where I stand, I'm the acupuncture point on the earth grid for that frequency on that timeline, and that everyone else is too. One of my biggest awakening moments was I had a life between lives, hypnotherapy regression, and it went in a completely different direction to what we thought it would. I shot straight, literally between lives, back to my soul group, and it was so magical because I felt so at home. But there was a certain amount of us incarnate. I got shown there was so many of us in bodies, but the rest were in spirit, and we are one. We're like this dance of music and sound and pattern. And I also got shown that we would be part of an activation of opening up the earth grids to love, returning the earth back to love and her original blueprint. So I got told, and at the time I didn't quite believe it. It took a bit of proving, was there'll be certain points in your life, and this happens for everyone, where you're in a certain place and every single person there is your soul group. As literally they just come together, and that there's like a timeline is reached, and there's like a key opened.
Yeah. I had that happen in 2008.
Did you? Oh, fantastic. It's so exciting though. It's when life gets so magical.
Yeah.
So one of the first times was there was the 12 Dragon Scroll was in the British Museum. It's an ancient Chinese artifact, yeah. Really, really ancient, and it held dragon codes.
I love it. When I tuned in earlier, and I was tuning into all the different beings that wanted to come in, and the dragons came in really fast, and I don't think you and I have ever talked really.
No, never spoken
about dragons very much.
Yeah, and I was just in the British Museum, like, well, what do I do? I was trying not to, I wasn't talking aloud, it was all in my head. Like, what do I do? And I just got told I had to go from right to left, and then left to right along the scroll, and just look at all the kanji and the symbols and the artistry. And as I did it, I could feel something absolutely massive energy, but it wasn't particularly in this realm. And I think that's the thing, is that all of us are here in our bodies, but we're also in many other places too. We're not this is one of the veils of our soul's reality. So that was absolutely enormous. And then I sat down because I could hardly stand up. I just sat down a bit. Oh, am I going to pass out? And I just got the words, every single person in this room is your soul group. And then I wanted to run around and say thank you. And I got, well, no, I got removed from the British Museum. Oh no, it was the V&A. It was the V&A. And yeah, and then it just had to go. And I think that's the thing with this work and this connection, is sometimes it's so magical and it pushes your belief about spirit and who we are. But then you go and sit on the tube, or you go and wash up, or you go and cook dinner. So it's woven in with the everyday mundane, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But I think that's what keeps us grounded in our bodies. Yeah. Definitely. That we can do, we literally slip into this activation work, and then we go shopping, or buy some food.
Yeah. And then magic can happen in those places too. That's what I find.
Yeah.
The more tuned in you are to the magical realms, and that sort of place in between, that I find, for me, it feels like a place in between. It's like there's this higher magical realm, and then there's this mundane, and then sometimes I feel like I slip in between the two, and sort of bringing those two together.
Definitely. And I think that's when we wake up and our heart is activated, and we start to understand about the elementals, the angelic realms, all the realms, that we become a bridge. And I think as well, this is what I get, is you learn this stuff, but then you have to become a teacher. Whether you become a teacher or you just teach through your everyday interactions with people, it's so important to share these truths, because they are truths.
Yeah, and otherwise it's not taught anywhere. We're not taught the reality of life at school or anything. So it's taking all of us to have these open conversations with each other, either in this form or day to day, to begin to to bring that magic into everyday life, and for everybody who's feeling and experiencing it to know that it's a truth. Like you were saying at the beginning, it's like you don't necessarily know that what you're experiencing is real, because unless you've got other people in your life that are mirroring it and showing you that it's a real thing.
It's that proof, isn't it? We've been brought up that you can't really trust anything unless it's proven. It's not real until it's proven. And then you enter a realm of awakening where everything's real, but it goes so beyond logic.
It's a knowing sense, isn't it? I think.
And to know you're safe.
Yeah, the big one.
It's that safety in being here, being safe. It's something I talk to people about all the time, is you're safe. And even if the external realms don't seem safe, it's, for me, my understanding is that this is all a hologram, that we're in many realms and many worlds, and our focus, we feel our bodies and we feel our presence here because we're almost tuned into that station, that radio station, predominantly. And the spiritual awakening is retuning that radio of your body and your senses to be aware of all the other realms.
That's kind of going back to what you were saying about having codes for each other, and quite a bit about DNA right now, and it's what I understand is it activates aspects of the DNA, and so there's suddenly a remembrance of a way of being, or some dormant part of you comes online again, and then reality shifts to mirror that.
In my healing work, predominantly we clear out the old programs, the DNA distortion, the timelines that are running through fear, close them. We work with connecting people to their star, to their soul's home, to what I found in the healing sessions. It's so interesting. Every session is unique and so interesting and expansive. So what was coming up a lot was people were coming to me that were really struggling being here, really struggling in living this life and having to deal with what they deal with, depression, anxiety. And then what was coming up in healing sessions was that their soul origin, their star, wasn't on the list of what scientists have discovered. So they're from another realm, they're from another star system, another dimension that isn't in the human collective consciousness. And then what happens is, if it's not in the human collective consciousness, there's like a feeling of not feeling home, not feeling safe here. So what was happening in the sessions was their home energy was coming in. That is, and also for me, as holding that space, I had to really let go and just allow their starlight signature of soul to come really into their body and their aura, and their recalibrate their soul blueprint to who they truly are. And then the results have been phenomenal. That feeling of purpose here, and also not feeling so alone, that deep to the bone raw aloneness on this planet in a human body, but having no idea where that comes from, just goes. So yeah, we're all, the way I see it is that we're all like beautiful patterns and sounds and colors of light, and in our awakening we are just upgrading them constantly. So I know for me, I have stages where I need to go really quiet, because it's almost like that next level of your blueprint is downloading. And of course, your logical self needs to be running around doing stuff, because it's life, isn't it? And then spirit is going, no, you need to sleep, for 5 hours in the middle of the day. But you have to, you can't get around it. You can't, or you can try, but you can't. Eventually you have to surrender to what is being, your body wisdom and your soul. But yeah, I'm really aware that everyone, I kind of see people as frequencies and key code sequences for their soul group and for their star, and so any interaction with people, I'm really aware that they often have something for me, I often have something for them, and it can be even just a chat in a queue somewhere, and you can feel it, that ping. It's almost a ping of energy, isn't it? That that something has been shared, and it's so beautiful. It's really beautiful. And you find that when you're out and about, like children and animals feel it as well. They
children all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The children aren't so shut down, so they're kind of will come close, and you can see in their eyes. And I think that's another thing with star and soul, those soul qualities. You can just look at someone and you're talking so much, but it's not through the mouth or the mind. That telepathy of soul, which I feel is increasing now for everyone. And also, we talk about past lives, but I feel it, for me, past lives are all other realities. It feels like there's lots of realities, and we tap in. If I try to do a past life, I can't, because I get told it's now. So it's almost like I can move around the now time, but not back. Which is it's just another level of awareness, isn't it? That we change as we grow and open.
Yes, it's just another frequency you're tuning into. We're not
Yeah, yeah.
time
And
spectrum, we're tuning into frequency rather than
closing those that hold fear.
mm-hmm.
So I know I've traveled quite a bit, surprisingly. I'd never, you know, my situation really, I haven't thought that I would be able to travel much as a mom, and but these trips just arrive. It's like, right, you're going to the Himalayas, you're going to China, you're going to Peru, you're going to Namibia, and it comes in, and I'm like, how? And then within a really short time, the flights book, the trips on, and it just arrives in the most incredible, magical ways. But each time, I'm aware that um, it's like who you travel with. I've done a lot of treks, so everyone in the group is part of your soul group, and you're walking that land together. The land is unlocking you, but also you're as a group unlocking the land in some way. So that was something also that
yeah, what does that mean to you when you say you're unlocking the land?
It can be lots of things, but I think I'm just thinking of when I went to Namibia. I didn't know why I had to walk in the desert, and to be honest, I didn't really want to. It was just like, you know. And then I found a channeling online, and it talked about the stargates in the Namibian desert, in the Brandberg Massif, and how they were star portals and star cities. And then I looked at and that's exactly where we were walking. It's like, oh, okay then. Yeah. So I always get from some direction, the answer comes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I wanted to share as well, is that it's not them and us. That on many levels we are them, you know, and that in our learning and opening up to the other realms, the elemental realms, the star realms, which are all one, is that we meet them in the middle, that we work with respect and honoring and gentleness, of that gentleness of heart, and that when we do that, then we're allowed in. It's not those temples of light, those crystalline realms, those places on earth, places like Machu Picchu, I'm not going to say stone circles, but there are certain places on earth that really, really hold those star temples. There's a lot of other places on earth that are distorted, or they have been, and then they've got there's been a human overlay over them, so they're all being cleared now. But you'll just know where you need to go. But what I found was you have to go in empty, not trying to connect, just with your heart really open, saying, I'm here, I'd love to connect, and allow yourself to be animated to walk to a certain place. Or I think if we use our logical mind too much, we can shut down.
Absolutely. That's my experience time and time again and not even necessarily about going to a site or anything, but just the desire to connect in with certain energies. If I try, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So like a resting back into the heart center, that just, yeah.
And it's that childlike daydreaminess that is the entry point.
It is an entry point. I think it's such an important thing to share, that imagination is, it's not what we've believed the word imagination to mean. It is actually, we actually do travel and move with our imagination, and it's showing us what's there.
It's that in between conscious dreaminess, like when you're maybe just walking. I think that's why trekking in wild nature is so powerful, because you know, some of the treks I've done, we've been walking like 8 to 10 hours. And honestly, you know, you get to the point where you're like, why am I here? What am I doing? The Inca Trail was insane. It's just massive. You're just steps up and down all day. Barely any flat areas at all. So your joints and your hips and your back are really suffering. But what I really was aware of, that in that extreme mundane step after step after step, you literally you move through all your pain, and then you connect in a different way. And then what happened is that I was aware of, it was like a walking meditation where you are aware of your body, but you're in another realm because you've been walking for so many hours. There's nothing left to think about because you've gone through all your worries and your stresses, and you've moaned about your ankles for enough. And then you go in. And I remember when I have done treks, that's when I started to see animals, or like stones. You see faces in the stones, or you could feel a certain valley. There was a presence of the masters, especially in the Himalayas. You'd walk around a corner into this massive valley, and I'd just be looking around like, where are they? You felt like you were with 100,000 people, but they're all spirit. And you could start to see palaces and temples in the peaks of the mountains. And then you'd look away, go, oh, I'm making that up, I'm tired. And then you look again, and then it's flat. For me, when I see things like that, it's like a flash and then it's gone. It's almost like they're going, yeah, we're here, you are right. So yeah, I think in a lot of my groups, I work with silence with people, and it's amazing how people can be quite scared of being silent, like sitting still. And occasionally, especially people who meditate might go, well, what do I meditate on? And you go, no, nothing. You don't meditate, you sit in silence. And it's almost like a fear comes up. Well, if I'm not meditating, I'm just wasting time. It's almost that thing, just sitting with nothing in your head is wasting time. But actually, that's when you plug in. That's when you hear. And I do occasionally a thing online called 1 hour of silence. And it was what I was told by Spirit is like, if everyone sat for 1 hour, maybe even once a week, sat for 1 hour, not trying to do anything, just sat still, it would be an energetic reset. That because when we move around and we talk, and especially we do the same thing every day, we start creating patterns of energy in our energy field, in our home, that are kind of, can be quite ingrained. And then when you sit, those can stop. It's almost like spinning top. Your spinning top of your aura stops, and then in the silence it can just come back into peace. But I've even done 1 hour silence with my mum, and my mum's my cosmic barometer, because if my mum gets it, then I know everyone will get it. And so I've worked with her doing 1 hour of silence, and she gets so much information from her soul and, you know, her I am presence. So very often it's the most simple thing, isn't it, that is the biggest gateway, is stop talking, be quiet, and stay still.
And listen as well, I think, like often.
Yes, yeah. To listen.
Yeah.
And to meet them just before we came online. Just bombarded. It was like this energy that came in, and I just got told to sit down and listen because I was busy doing things. And again, it was, you know, sometimes we forget, don't we, that actually we do the most work not doing anything. You know, that's the old paradigm. Oh, you're sitting there, you're not doing anything. But actually, we're working 24/7 in all the realms. Yeah. And when you sit down and you're silent,
That's when the energy can anchor in, isn't
really
it?
come in, yeah.
Creations are birthed from that still point.
Yeah,
To have that still point for,
and what naturally arises through you.
yeah.
I've just had a really interesting experience, and they're all lessons, you know, there's no good or bad. They're all just teaching, where the 11:11 is coming up next week. And I was like, I have to run an event. I have to gather people for the 11:11. Because, you know, and I try to, on specific key dates, you know, these power gateway days, to bring people together, one, so they can experience it in a very high frequency, which is also offers a cushion as well. So if we're in a group and we're really holding space, that it opens the door for them. And yeah, last night I tried to write this event up and I kept deleting it and then writing it again and deleting it. And it took speaking to a friend who could actually say to me, I think the 11:11 is about really quietness and just really allowing everything, this crystalline diamond upgrades we're getting. You need to experience it inward on your own instead of holding space. So yeah, I mean, that's what I think with my work, is to share with people that you have to listen to yourself. Even spiritual teachers or anything out there.
For me, this is like the key teaching right now, you know, like you were going to say, you know, you can have spiritual teachers, but as long as they're pointing you into yourself, there is no other authority other than your own inner guidance.
That inner authority, yeah,
and learning. So needing to listen and have that time to listen and trust that the inner knowing. Yeah, that isn't the mind.
Exactly. Exactly. And just really trusting yourself, and we live in a world that, you know, your programming, the parenting and the schooling is really about not trusting life and about validation from external facts. Like, if you get all these facts right, they're external and often from history, then you are valid and intelligent and you have a worth because of these. You've ticked these boxes, so you are worthy. And as a mum of a 17-year-old and a 21-year-old, I've seen powerfully schooling system. My goodness.
I've been through it too. My daughter's.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I know. Geez, do you know, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I think I have to. Just like, it did pop out earlier, and I was like, I'm not speaking about that. It's like, no, I have to. I know GCSE history is 2 years on the Nazis and World War II and Auschwitz and the Holocaust. And I saw the energetic shift in my child. Every time he had that lesson, I'm traumatized.
I picked history because I loved an aspect of it, and when I got to doing it at GCSE, it was that, and I was so, oh my god, I can feel it in me now. I was so shocked, and I felt really quite traumatized. The lessons were so dark.
And so what was happening, I just kept clearing, you know, and sending love to the school, to the children. But it is part of the programming, because, you know, something that was really coming through to talk about was things like phones, video, even photographs, television. They're all portals. So when you look at a photograph, you connect to that energy of that place or that time or that event, because everything's energy. So you know, one of my first experiences was a healer friend who said that she'd had a kind of a really dark energy come into her home through a TV program. And at the time I was like, wow, this is new. I've never heard of this before. But the more I looked into it, and then the more I was having experiences of what you look at, what you speak about is absolutely imperative. You keep the heart frequency and an expansiveness of light in it. And that's with children now, you know, with phones and everything. It's really important. Well, it's almost like there's a shutting down of the other realm. So it's important for everyone to get out into nature, isn't it? And to really hear and feel themselves.
Yeah.
But also, there's on another level that I think it's pushing people to connect more, because they're on computers all day at work, and then maybe they'll come here and to one of my groups, and it's like I need connection. You know, I just need to sit and be plugged in to the mains again, and to connect to my heart and my soul. So on another level, that communication that we get online is so powerful, that we can share love and
so
share
it
the
just
truth.
how we use anything, doesn't it? There's always going to be the full spectrum of experience through any medium and any experience, and it's our choice what we choose to put out in the world, or what we choose to focus on. Yeah.
And what came through in a group last year was, you know, we were talking about the Milton Keynes and the grid here. It's city's built on a grid, and it's got many levels, let's put it that way, to the energy here. There's a lot here, and there's a lot in the astral levels here, and the many realms, and in the physical, and it's on a lot of ley lines. So over the years, you know, being a space holder here, of really navigating what my role is to be here, holding light. And what came through was, we were talking about it in a group, because I was saying to everyone, people come to Milton Keynes, majority don't want to be here. It's like they come through work, or their husband moves here through work. And there was a packed room, and every single person said the same. I didn't want to be here, but I came because of work, and now I can't leave. So we were really talking about our soul work, like where you're placed in the world, but also how we raise, like when we really work out what we're here to do, which is to raise the light. And one of the ladies said this, the key sentence. She said, yes, but it's a city of 22 million trees. So the blueprint for building this city was called, I think, the city in the forest. So every tree is a gateway and a portal and a being. So that was what I was told, to work with the elementals in this city. We've got so many lakes and waterways as well, the water. So that's what I've been doing, is really connecting with them. And that's what really comes through, is when people are quiet and go out into nature, that they can really communicate. And so much of the communication with the elemental realms isn't seeing a fairy in front of you. It's actually those wisps of awareness going, you know, I think I'm going to give up coffee, or I think I'm going to give up meat, or I think I need to change my job, you know. And it's like you go back home, but it's actually the elementals that have come in with that light to I always see them like herding. We're the ducks, and they herd us, like, you know, like herding ducks. You're going, come on, you know the right way. So they're always around us. And my house is full of crystals, and I'm aware that each one has a consciousness and a beingness. Yeah. And they really tell me where they need to go. Yeah. And I know I'm open, that if there's anything that I need to do, that they'll let me know. So it's that almost becoming fluid in your being. Yeah. With the elemental star beings, all of being fluid with creation. Yes. So
for me, this is very much the sort of feminine energy now that's coming back online. We've been working very masculine, head orientated, goal orientated, straight line, and now there's this much more fluid way of being that's available to us, through nature, through crystals, through our heart centers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's animals bring us that as well, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. I've got my cat lying on the on the table next to me. Yeah.
And I suppose, if I wanted to say one thing that could help people, it would be brave in being fluid. And it takes it you don't, well, maybe you do sometimes wake up the next day, but it is a journey of allowing those masks and that those defense mechanisms that we've built up over the years. One thing that comes through a lot in healing sessions is that when we're born, we're very, very connected and pure in our frequency and our connection to ourselves as source. And then what happens with our frequencies of home and school and our environment, that what we have to do is we have to almost contort ourselves and place ourselves in a certain way to fit in, but to almost to feel safe, because we're bombarded with maybe a domineering adult, or even just maybe the town you live in is very heavy, dense energy. You come in as a little angelic baby, and it's like, and I can kind of remember that in me at a certain age, very, very small, thinking almost like, I need to kind of almost clamp down to cope. And I think it was when I first started school. It was like, I need to clamp down. I didn't obviously say it in that language, but I just remember in my being almost like, shut yourself down a bit and then you'll be more acceptable to people. And even as I say that, it doesn't make, it's kind of, it's an energetic response. And then it's as adults that we're all going to therapy and having healing sessions and coaching, because it's that we need to let go of those shields and that contorted blocks that we have within us, that keep us safe, that we try to keep safe, because we know we are. Because when we shut down one part of us, we shut ourselves all down in different ways.
And we're recording this right now, just coming up to the end of Venus retrograde, aren't we?
Really?
I feel like that's been the energy that's been really moving through everybody, this shedding of all of these layers, the real sort of protection against life, which has actually shut us off from also feeling. It's kept us protected, but we haven't. Our sensitivity has been cut off as well, so it feels like shedding so much right now.
And there's also that programming about feeling bad about feeling bad, like the reaction to being sad, being emotional, feeling, crying, are all seen as not coping or not handling life.
Isn't that amazing? And yet it's the very essence of what we need to do to
I spend so much time crying, and it's like, oh, not again. But it's a way to release energy, but also it just blows me open so that I can let go of anything that is causing any blocks, so that I can fully receive. And when our children, especially our boys and sons, husbands, partners, men are allowed to express the full range of emotion, especially with other men, but all of us, we're allowed, even in the workplace, that we're allowed to be emotional, because it's not, and that was the thing that was coming through earlier, was that this softness and gentleness of emotion and heart has been seen as weakness. And it is actually the ultimate strength, because there's so much wisdom behind that completely being that gentle heart light, that heart light really shining. And it does disarm people that are guarded. If somebody's got a lot of armor around them, energetic armor, and they come across somebody who is just this almost like a walking geometry of love, it can disarm them and it can feel threatening. But deep down, I think we have to remember that every single person has that seed of remembering in them, that is their truth.
Yeah. And that's, I really feel it's being activated on a really large scale now, that remembrance.
Yeah, what I was shown really at the beginning of my understanding of soul groups and the light temples was that Venus holds the blueprint of love, kind of a pink print really, more than a blueprint, and that it has been withdrawn from the earth realms because of the fall and the density and the journey that humanity has had to go through. Although saying that, you know, we come in and out, you know, this is what I'm shown is when we go to sleep, we go off, we're in those other realms. So we kind of only here part of the time. This is kind of, we think our life is full time. But yeah, so what I was really getting was that this reality is really the Venus blueprint, that the sequences, the codes, the frequencies, the light of that pure love is coming back to this planet.
Well, so that makes perfect sense of this Venus retrograde period then. There's such a big clearing out of programs that don't fit that original blueprint. Yeah.
And the thing is as well, we have so much safety in our identities, don't we? Who we think we are, where we sit in the world. Identities, whether you're a man or a woman, or however you identify yourself with, cultural, religious, all different types of identities. And that is what's falling, all our identities for all of us. So I know online there's a lot of talking about different cultural groups, and what I'm shown is that we're all different star tribes, all different star groups of coming here to sort out our differences and to return to love. So so when I was little, I remember saying to my dad, why are there borders? Why are there different countries? And why are people not allowed to go into one country to another? So I threw that one at my dad. And I said to my dad, well, why are all people, if we're all on this planet, why are all people different colours and speak different languages and have different beliefs? Like why is our skin different? Why do we look different? And my dad, being an ex-military, love him, but he gave me an ex-military answer. So I must have been only about 7 or 8. And it just did not sit with me. I just, even then, knew that was not right.
What did you say?
Oh, I'm not going to say.
Oh, okay.
It's not really. Yeah, it's just an old belief.
Like, no.
Okay. It's just really about protecting yourself and, you know, barrier. We all need.
We shouldn't be merging, and that we're like,
you know,
each other. There is differences, and
it was kind of the world's not safe and we need our defences type of conversation. Yeah. And my little 7-year-old self was like, well, I'm not having that. Yeah. Even then, I knew that it wasn't true. Yeah. And then when I started to really wake up to a lot of lineage teachings about the soul groups and why I'm here and what my awareness was that, oh God, yes, because they're all from different planetary systems, they're all from different stars. And like, so your humanity, your difference of how you look or what you believe in your humanity, which so many people are fighting about, is actually rooted in stars. And you're all here to return to love. And that was the answer. It took a long time, you know, from being 7 to, I don't know, 40 to get my answer. But that for me sat a lot more truthful. I mean, everyone might have different opinions, but that, all the different star tribes are here, and we're all that's what our work is. We're all here individually, have our journeys to return to love. I think as well we're here, but also that we're in lots of other places too. I went to China about 3 years ago, and I was on a trip that went all the way around. So we went to Beijing, Xi'an, Chongqing, a couple of other places, Shanghai. We did a 4-day cruise on the Yangtze. So I kind of circumnavigated China, and I found it so deeply traumatizing in my being. As a tourist, it was very shiny and fabulous, and beautiful, beautiful temples. But it was, my soul was just broken for the energy there. I was like, I don't know what this is, what I'm feeling, but it's so opposite to what I should be feeling. And when it was the war, obviously, you know, as a star tribe, that land was where a lot of the warrior tribes came and dropped into their humanity to play out. But also, it's in the purity of Mother Earth is still there. She's still there. It's just what is layered through the realms. And it wasn't till I got home. I was really ill when I got home, which I would always see as a release, whether it's, you know, sickness or temperature. It's like I'm releasing. But what I got shown was that the civilizations of light in the stars, in the realms that are where the China is manifest from, is pure, and it's love, and it's so wise, and it's the dragon temples, and it's the crystalline, most beautiful, beautiful realms is there. And that's what I felt, the kind of anomaly between physical China and what I'm presuming my home, you know. So in sharing that, I want to share with people that, you know, where, like, you know, I'm a woman and I'm born in England, but actually, you know, we're citizens of the stars and the earth, and that we have so many places we are, and that our home, there isn't one identity that we can nail down. And I know China delivered to me a massive teaching about timelines as well, that a lot of the conflict in the world is on certain timelines that needs to play out, and it will just close it. In playing it out, it closes itself down.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah. And I'm just praying for that with all my heart, so that, and that's what I'm feeling even as I'm talking. That's what I'm feeling, that so much of what we're seeing in ourselves and in the world, especially in conflict, is almost like my old movie reels, playing them. You have to play them to close them.
Yeah, so it's like if we want to go in and clear something within ourselves, we have to fully feel.
Bring it up, yeah.
What hasn't been felt, what's got stuck, what we haven't allowed, it needs to be fully felt in order to release it.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference with...
I'm just going to say we're almost like out of time.
Okay.
So just wrap this up, and then
one more thing was with the healing path versus the, say, medical healing path. And it was a big lesson for me, is that you know, before I became an energy healer and learned about Reiki, crystal healing, the healing arts, you just went to the doctor. If you felt out of sorts at all, you just went to the doctor, and the doctor either did or didn't make it better. And then when you work with energy, you see the body and health in as the biggest shift of truth.
Mm-hmm.
So in healing, we can allow ourselves to have a temperature, or we can allow ourselves to need to go to bed for a couple of days because we feel flu-like, but you know you haven't got flu. You know that your whole system is purging out old energy imprints, and that's so empowering and freeing, that you're not a victim of your body and your emotions, but you're actually that's when the empowerment comes in, isn't it? And the responsibility. Yes.
Oh. Wow, we could probably talk for another hour. I reckon. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for sharing so many nuggets and so much of your experiences.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure, and yeah, just even if one person is supported and opens to a high level of truth through this, then it's been a good day at the Cosmic Office.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
I always say that if a video touches one person, then it's a success. So yeah, thank you so much. And I'll share links to your work as well. So if anybody wants to work with you, have a one-on-one session, which I highly recommend. I had a beautiful session with you, which was really, it was really deep, and has definitely been part of what I've been going through recently, shifting, clearing out the DNA, and just tuning into my life's work. Really, it was a really beautiful session I had with you. And your retreats and stuff. So
it's all it'll all be on my website and on Facebook and Instagram, Debbie Jordan Mills. I'm always posting every day.
Really beautiful posts. I love your Instagram account.
Oh, thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Layla.
Yeah, such a pleasure. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. And I hope you've received what you came here to receive. And I hope to return soon with another interview. So much love to you all. Thank you. Bye.